After over a decade of waiting and multiple spin-off games, a day that I thought would never actually come is finally here. Kingdom Hearts 3 is out, and as part of celebrating that, there is a limited edition PS4 Pro that we'll be unboxing. Now this one's actually a really interesting one for me to look at because based on pictures we've seen and even the look on the box, there's this kind of textured effect going on with the top of it. I'm not entirely sure how that's going to look in person, so let's open it up and check it out. Now, as with all limited edition bundles, there's really three main parts of the system we care about. It comes with, of course, a copy of the game with a couple little extra added goodies, and then there's the controller and system. Now, the controller in this one is really interesting because it kind of breaks away from some of the traditions of what Sony has done with past special editions. Usually they go with a color that matches the system and then some kind of little symbol on the right handle. But this time instead, they've gone for a couple more subtle changes. First off, instead of a different color, it's using the same standard PlayStation black, but it's a very, very glossy finish. It's actually very similar to what they used on the 500 million edition system, but instead of that translucent blue, it just has that standard black design. But it creates this really shiny finish, and it's actually very comfortable in the hand. I really like the way it feels. Now, along with that, something they do with a lot of their special edition controllers is an etching on the touchpad. It's a little subtle on this one because I don't really use any other colors. It's just a darker black, but I think it looks really nice, especially because it lines up with that black gloss on the rest of the main body. And I really dig the monochromatic colors on the symbol buttons. Instead of using the normal four colors, they're just white outlines. One other detail that I almost missed initially too is that there's a very small change they've made to the D-pad. So you still have the same right and left arrows, but then for the top and bottom, you have a little crown symbol, which is the Kingdom Hearts one that they have on the main Kingdom key, and then the Hearts symbol on the bottom right here. So they're still pointing in those right directions, they're just, very thematic symbols. All in all, this is a much more subtle approach compared to what they've done in the past, but I actually really like the way this all turned out. Now the same cannot be said for the system because this thing is very different from what they've done before. Like I said earlier, there's this kind of leather finish look to it that was really interesting to see in pictures, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be like in person. I didn't know if it was some kind of sticker or they applied some kind of different material. No, it's just a very, very heavily etched top to the system. It's still plastic, but it has this look of worn leather that's really intense looking. This is a very different approach from what they've done with past PS4s, where normally there's very heavy emphasis on just having a nice gloss finish, which sometimes works out really well, like with the Spider-Man PS4, and other times things can get a little lost, like what they did with Monster Hunter. But in this case, this is a very different approach that I think brings some really cool upsides and some downsides, but overall I think it's a really awesome change of pace. Honestly, it's pretty tough for me to believe that this is actually happening right now. Like, this is a game that is out that I can play. I mean, there are a lot of series out there where sure, it takes a while for a new game to come out, but just imagine, Kingdom Hearts 2 was in 2005. I grew up playing the game and was like, oh, that's awesome, I can't wait for the next one. And so I waited, and I waited, and I kept waiting. We kept getting different spin-offs and trailers and hints and all kinds of insane other things, and now we actually have number 3. I mean, I got to the point where I didn't think this was actually going to happen. Even when we got an actual release date, as we got to the point where that release date was only a week away, there was still a part of my brain that was like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. And it's here. And I still don't kind of believe it. So, what's the good? Well, I enjoy the fact that it's not heavily glossed because that means you can touch it and not worry about there being all kinds of fingerprints showing up anywhere. And it does create this very interesting, unique look where, once again, it almost looks like it's some kind of faux leather finish, but it's just hard plastic. Now, the downside of this is the way the light hits it has a very massive impact on how this system will look. In the right light, you get just the right amount of texture being shown and everything, but you can still make out all the symbols nice and cleanly and has this awesome, almost old school worn look to it. In the wrong light, it catches every single little groove of leather and it just kind of looks like a mess, similar to what happened with the Monster Hunter PS4. I think if you just put this in the right setup, it looks beautiful. You just have to be careful about how it's lit. Now, as for the actual design itself, it's not really any one specific thing. It's more of a really crazy heraldry pattern which features images from all kinds of stuff from the game. Various symbols, including things like the Kingdom Hearts symbol, the Kingdom Key crown, and even, of course, Mickey's head. And symbols representing all the different bad guys. There's keyblades. It's just a whole bunch of stuff thrown into this very crazy looking design that is actually really cool. Now, while all the symbols are littered throughout everywhere on the top of the system, you do have a more simple approach with just a couple symbols lined up on the front, which feature once again things like Kingdom Hearts, Mickey, and just makes a nice little clean pattern on the front edge of the system. It doesn't run the entire length, it's just centered, which I think was a good call. The only part of this design that falls a little flat for me is because they went for this heavy leather etched look, which once again, I think is cool, it also makes certain symbols and words not as cleanly appearing as they could be. And the one place where this is really recognizable is in the bottom corner where you have an emblem that says Kingdom Hearts on the bottom, but you have to look at a very specific angle with a lot of concentration to actually legibly read that. It really just kind of looks like print thrown over this leather. It has its drawbacks, and I think it was a bit of a risky move to try something so heavily different, especially for such a big game that people have been waiting forever for, but I think it paid off. While not perfect, I think this aesthetic of just the etched leather creates such a unique design that this stands apart from every other PS4 Pro Sony has done. I might still personally rank some of the other ones for simplicity above it, but for just being its own unique design, beautiful.